Let's stay together, yeah, yeah. You and me, Let's stay together, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know why that song came into my head. That was like, you went to random. That's like super duper random. Anyway, hey y'all. I'm back with another video, and today I wanted to talk about my December wrap up part 1. I will come up with a part 2 next week at the end of the year. So I'm going to go through what I read so far in the first half of the month, and then what I'm currently reading and why it seems like I can't finish anything. Like nothing. I'm reading so many things right now. It's a tad ridiculous. More than a tad ridiculous. So the first thing that I completed in December was A School for Good and Evil by Soman Chinani, and this is the first book in the School for Good and Evil series. I enjoyed this one. I believe I ended up giving it either 3 or 4 stars. I am checking as I speak. So I gave it 4 stars. This is my second time reading the book. I reread it because I need to catch up on the rest of the series and finish it. It is very slow in the beginning, and I think that's a lot of people's criticism about the series, is that it's exceptionally slow when you start, but once it picks up, it's really great. It's phenomenal. So I did annotate it. I think I talked about this book in my how I annotate my books video, so if you want to see more of that, definitely check out that video. So if you didn't know, The School for Good and Evil is basically a story about 2 girls who live in this small town. One is supposed to be this fantabulous, fashion-forward, self-absorbed young lady by the name of Sophie, and then the second character more so keeps to herself, doesn't have a lot of friends, is often considered weird by the townspeople, and her name is Agatha. And legend has it that in this town every year 2 of the children from the town get kidnapped and taken by the storymaker, and they're sent to the school for good and evil. One child is sent to the school for good, and one child is sent to the school for evil. So with that being noted, the 2 end up at the school for good and evil. They end up getting kidnapped. But what they don't realize is that they are switched, and they end up going to different schools than what they expect. So Sophie is sent to the school for good, for evil, and Agatha is sent to the school for good, and a whole bunch of stuff follows from that. What I did really enjoy about this book is that it is a classic twist on what we think fairy tales are, and it's also a classic twist on what we think good and evil are. And I really appreciate that, especially in a middle grade book. So if you're looking for kind of fairy tale retellings in a middle grade format and in a way that's kind of topsy-turvy, flips the meaning of a fairy tale on its head, I definitely recommend checking this one out. The next thing I read was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. Of course, I have no criticisms for this. What I did love about this book, and I ended up listening to it on audio, is that I think I appreciated Harry as a character more in this one than I have in previous times that I reread it. When I was younger, I thought that Harry was just really angry and just not relatable in this book. But what I found through this reread is that this shows the human side of Harry. It doesn't glorify him, and it shows him going through growing pains. He's only 15 in this book, so at 15 he's experienced a lot, and to see him in a not so perfect light, and a lot of his actions are dealing with the struggles that he's had growing up, I think this makes it one of my favorites after A Goblet of Fire. So I'm really glad that I reread this, and I took the time to actually see it in a different light than I had with previous times that I reread it. Of course, I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. The next thing that I read was Miss Marvel Volume 9 Teenage Wasteland by G. Willow Wilson, and I won't talk much about this one, but in this volume, Miss Marvel goes missing. I won't say why, because if I do that, I'll spoil previous volumes, but I really enjoyed it. This was a step up from Volume 8, because I thought that Volume 8 was very much so a repeat of volume 7, which I enjoyed volume 7 because it spoke out a lot regarding the election process, and I think that it was phenomenal. But I think volume 8 kind of mimicked that, and I didn't enjoy it. But we're left in a very interesting place after the end of volume 8, and volume 9 picks up where volume 8 left off, and there's a lot of interesting concepts going on here. But overall, I'm glad to be back into the world. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I will be picking up volume 10 when it comes out next year. I may go ahead and do a reread of the entire series because it's been a while since I've done it. I know when I first read it, I hated volume 1, but as soon as I got into volume 2 and forward, it was just phenomenal, and I really enjoyed it. The next book that I read so far in December is Beautiful Disaster by Jamie McGuire. This was one of my most disappointing reads of 2018. I already knew it was going to be one of my most disappointing reads because I really didn't like this book when I first read it, but I reread it because I wanted to start the second half of the series. It's not the same characters, but it's side characters from this book, and I heard that those books are a lot better. So in order for me to get a grasp of what happened in this part of the series, I wanted to reread it. I will not be rereading the second book, which is Walking Disaster, which is Beautiful Disaster told from the male's perspective, or the novella A Beautiful Wedding, because I mean, you pretty much get all of that in this book. All of that is in this first book, and I think it's just unnecessary to repeat that and take myself through this torture. But I did not enjoy this book. If you want to know more of my in-depth thoughts, definitely check out the video. I did end up giving this a 2 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read in December was Morning Glories of Volume 1 by Spencer Isma and Esquejo. Or this is, I have Volume 2 in my hands, y'all. But I read Volume 1, so just pretend like I'm holding up Volume 1. Because I don't know where Volume 1 went. I think it still may be on my shelf. So pretend as though I am holding up Volume 1, but I'm not really doing that. And I did end up reading Volume 1. And if you didn't know, Morning Glories is a very interesting comic series that takes place at a boarding school. All these kids get sent to this boarding school, but when they're at this boarding school, as soon as their parents drop them off, their parents don't remember who they are, and there's more sinister things going on. And in the first volume, you're kind of left on a cliffhanger because you don't know what's happened or what's happening or why these characters are being forced into these situations. And it's the most awkward thing, but I really did enjoy Volume 1. I think that you have to keep rereading the series, although I have heard, unfortunately, that you don't really end up getting answers, which is awful to know that after rereading and reading and reading and reading and reading, you still don't get any definite answers in the series. But I think that the third story arc is supposed to be starting sometime next year, and I ended up getting Volume 1 4 out of 5 stars. The next comic that I read was The Wicked and the Divine, The False Acts. This is Volume 1 by Gillian McKelvey Wilson and Cowles. This is one that I really like because of the artwork. Just simply the artwork alone I think is phenomenal. It's about these gods that reincarnate every 90 years, and they live for 2 years, and they often become these pop sensations that the world falls in love with. And there are some people who believe in it and some people who don't. One thing that's extremely confusing about this comic is that the gods and goddesses mentioned in here are taken from a vast amount of cultures. I mean, you have Greek, Roman, I think there's even Celtic, there's Indian. It's so many gods and goddesses that I would recommend looking them up as you find them so you get a better grasp of who is who. Because if you don't, it makes things confusing. And then when you look up the characters' names and what god and goddess they're affiliated with, the personality of that character makes a lot more sense. A heck of a lot more sense. So I really enjoyed this one. It's not like I haven't read it before. I think I've read all the way up to Volume 6, I think. So this is not my first time reading it. This was a reread, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. And the last thing that I read so far in December is Black Butler Volume 1 by Yana Toboso, and this was one that I had started a while ago and never got the opportunity to finish because I have watched the part of the anime and I think it's phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. It's about this young boy named Ciel, I think, C-I-E-L. If it's said differently, please let me know, because I'm just, you know, I'm bad with name pronunciations. But it's still Phantom Hive, and he owns this. He's a child, but he is the head of his estate, and this family of his, the Phantom Hive family, is known for the toy manufacturing, and he has taken over the company, and he has a butler that caters to his every need. But this butler is very strange. This butler has some weird things about him, and it's not a spoiler. His butler is a demon, and his butler does anything to keep him alive because they've made a deal and an arrangement, and I won't talk about it, but they made a deal and arrangement. So the butler is serving Ciel and protecting and taking care of him. It is gruesome because I think that Sebastian, who's the butler, is so nice, but not really a nice person. He's kind of like nice nasty, and then once you cross him, it's pretty much a done deal. So I'm really excited to reading this and to reading more of this next year. I think there's about 26 or 27 volumes out, and I need to catch up, and I need to catch up with anime. This was just great, and I ended up giving it 4 out of 5 stars. Alright, y'all, so you're probably interested in, Ashley, what are you reading? Because you said you were reading a lot. So I definitely am reading a whole bunch. I just can't seem to finish anything. I've been trying to figure out what I need to finish or what's going to stop me from, because I want to read so much right now, and I'm not going to go through every single thing that I'm reading because you guys are going to be like, dang, that's ridiculous. But the first thing that I'm actually seriously making progress with is the Cartel, which is a street fiction book by Ashley Antoinette and her husband Jaquavis. Let me make sure I'm saying his name right. Yeah, Jaquavis Coleman. So they're a husband-wife duo, and they have written multiple series together. This is one that is popular and a lot of people enjoy. My boyfriend and I are actually reading it together. He's listening to the audio, and I'm reading the ebook version of it. But it is about this family called the Diamond Family, and they are at war, and they're basically, their dad was the head of a drug cartel. And this is not, I think what ends up happening is that they get into it with this group called the Haitians, and the father ends up getting killed, and then his son, his first son, his oldest son, which the family doesn't all know about, they call him Young Carter, he comes to take over their family business, and he is falling for this girl named Mia Moore, and they don't realize that, because Mia Moore's sister ends up dying trying to kill someone in the Diamond family. And this is not a spoiler or anything. It's in the it's on the back of the book. So Mia Moore's sister ends up dying trying to kill somebody from the Diamond family, but Mia Moore and Young Carter end up falling for each other, not realizing that Mia Moore tried to kill his brother, and his brother killed Mia Moore's sister. So it's almost like a street fiction Romeo and Juliet type of thing, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm probably about 45% into that book. The next thing that I'm currently reading is My Hero Academia by Kohi or Horikoshi. You gotta bear with me. And this is a highly popular shonen series now that a lot of people are interested in, and it's about a young man who wants superhero powers in a world now where everybody has superhero powers, and he doesn't get any until he meets one of the superpowers named All Might, and he basically inspires All Might to be a better superhero, essentially, and it goes from there. I haven't gotten further than that, but it's pretty decent. The art style is a little different what I'm used to. It's definitely a little bit more going on the page than what it's a lot going on. So it's a little bit more intense artwork than what I'm used to. But I am enjoying it, and hopefully once I finish filming now, I can sit down and buckle down and finish this probably tonight. Hopefully. I am still working my way through Dread Nation. I haven't made much progress since the last time I think I updated on Goodreads, which means I'm still just on page 135, but it's not that this isn't good, it's just that work got really busy and I haven't been able to pick it up since. But I'm definitely going to pick it up as soon as I get the opportunity because it is so fantastic and great, and as you can see I'm annotating it, so looking forward to picking this one up. This is about zombie, almost like a zombie apocalypse that takes place during Civil War, where black women and men and Indian women and men are forced to be trained to fight the zombies. A lot of social commentary in this one. The next thing that I have here that I'm reading is Fruits Basket, the Collector's Edition Volume 1 by Natsuki Takaya, and this one I am 127 pages into it. This is a thick one, and I didn't realize how thick it was until I started reading it, but it's really, really good. This is also one of my favorite shoujo manga, and it's great to be back in this world. It's about a young girl whose mother has passed away. She ends up living on a piece of land, not knowing that it belongs to this family, and this family is inhabited by the Chinese zodiac. And whenever they get too close to a female, or they get too weak, or a female embraces them or touches them in any way, they end up turning into their respective animals, which is such an interesting concept. So I'm at the part where our main character, and I don't know why, Toru, our main character finds out that they are part of the Chinese zodiac, and she's vowing to keep their secret, and they're very surprised and shocked that she's willing to keep their secret. So this is great. Hopefully I'll finish this week. Like, I need to finish this one this week. The last thing that I'm reading is Fables Animal Farm Volume 2. So this is my reread of the Fables series volume by volume. The first volume, we're just introduced to the characters in Fabletown and why they're there and why they're living undercover in our world, and the sinister plot that goes on with Snow White's sister Rose Red and Jack, as in Jack and the Beanstalk. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm taking my time with this. Like I've told you guys before, this alone is 22 volumes, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 spin-offs. So I gotta take my time with this. I should have put this as like one of my goals, to read through the Fable series, but I think that's kind of just an unspoken thing for me. So I will continue reading this one as well. Alright y'all, so that is, it's a lot. That is a whole bunch of stuff that I am currently reading, but hopefully I can get through some of it, especially like the comics and the manga. Hopefully I can get through those before the year is over with. I don't know if I will finish, I think I'll finish the Cartel. I don't know if I'll finish Dread Nation before the year's over with. I am going to take anything that I don't finish. I do plan to take on into my January TBR because I just want to clean out my currently reading list on Goodreads, and I don't want to start all these books and not finish them. I also am listening to Bird Box on audio, and I was listening to the Christmas Sisters, but I may put a pause on each one of those because the Bird Box is creepy, first of all, and the Christmas Sisters, I made it probably about halfway through, but I just want to put it on hold for right now. I just wasn't in the mood for it, but that's it. Alright y'all, so tell me what you've read so far in December. Also let me know what you're currently reading. And as always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button. As always, now that Vlogmas is over with, I do upload videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that'll be continuing into 2019. And if you're interested in following me on social media, all the links will be down in the description box.